I just have time to complete these 2 questionnaires.
To apply, please?
To apply, yeah.
Okay. How many more are you planning?
8 more, but they don't give me the results yet.
And where are you applying your questionnaires?
Here and at my school and another school that is beside my school. It's near.
And have you applied all of the questionnaires that you plan on applying?
No,
or
not yet.
Okay.
There are like...
When do you think you'll finish applying?
Monday, maximum Tuesday.
Muy bien.
These are like pilot.
Those are the pilots?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Were there any comments, anything that you feel you need to change based on the way that they answered? Any comments that they made?
In this case, these 2 teachers told me that the questionnaire was clear, was okay.
Okay.
So, in fact, maybe I will observe this teacher. She's already working here.
Okay.
She's giving classes in Extension.
Okay.
She has like reading classes. So, the strategies are more or less similar. For example, this one, getting meaning from the context. And there are more. And she told me that sometimes she uses metacognitive strategy.
Okay.
Strategies. So this could be a good option.
Okay. All right. So we'll keep these 2, and let's hope that you can get the rest of the results by next week, middle of next week, hopefully.
Well, on Monday we have class.
Right.
So
Tuesday or Wednesday. Hopefully.
I said Monday or Tuesday, but it's going to be like Tuesday, maximum Wednesday.
Okay.
Because some of the teachers just work from Wednesday to Friday.
Okay.
So I will see them on Wednesday.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, let's. When you get the results, and if you have doubts about who you want to choose, and you want to talk about it before your next tutoring session, just come by my office. Do you have your other instruments completed? Your observation sheet, interview guide?
No, do I have to?
Well, the idea is to try to have those designed, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to have. Now, the interview guide might change later, but I would like for us to have more or less of a format that you have, right? Because after you do the observations, you could later go back and make some modifications to your interview guide based on what you observed, which is fine. But I'd like to have now, more or less kind of the format that you're going to have, that you're going to use, and that we discuss how you're going to use those, so it's clear, that I want you to think about the entire procedure, how you're going to collect all your data now for your research, to answer your research questions, and which instruments you're going to use. And I want to have all those designed now, so that you can see the big picture here. It's not just the instrument design, but it's all the instrument designs and how you're going to apply it, why you're applying it, when are you going to apply it. And you can see visualize the whole process, because when you begin observing, you need to plan, whether it's written out or in your head, but you need to say, okay, this is how I'm going to plan the next 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks of data collection. This is going to happen first, this is going to happen next. If something changes, fine, but you need to plan. You need to see and plan your time very carefully, because this it's not difficult, but it could be, because there are things that are outside your control, right? You're going to different schools. You're at the mercy of these teachers. You arrive, and this happens sometimes. You arrive to a class, and they say, today's not a good day. My administrator, my coordinator told me I have to apply an exam, or we don't have class today because there's a meeting, or something with the parents, whatever. Things happen that no one can plan for, and that's going to set you back. So then you get to reschedule, and so then, things like that happen all the time. So do your best to right now we need to have all of the instruments designed, and that you visualize and understand how you're going to apply everything, so that when you do start the data collection in 1 week or 2 weeks, that you work with the teacher and say, okay, can I observe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of this week, or Monday and Tuesday this week, and next Monday, right? Try to plan that out with the teacher, so that it's not just kind of like, you know, uh, just kind of more, informal and whenever you feel like it type of thing. That it's very much structured, and be have close communication with the teachers. The purpose of this questionnaire is, you have a question: are you willing to participate? They say you're willing to participate. The very first question you have, let's say you choose this teacher, you're going to have a conversation. Look, I'd like to do my research with you. All right. This is what I have in mind. First doing this, then doing this, doing this. This is what I was thinking about doing it. Is that okay? When are you available? Okay. And you have that conversation with each teacher from the very beginning, right? And then you proceed accordingly. Things change, I know, and that's fine if they change, but the idea is you've got this window of opportunity, and it's got to happen before break, before we go on vacation. It has to, because everybody closes. After that, forget it. When you come back from vacation in May, it's writing, it's los resultados, analysis and resultados. It's too late to be doing data collection. So everything has to be done by what? April, when is the date? It's like the second week, third week of April.
Yes.
So it's got to happen now. And that's why I'm telling everyone right now, we have 2 more weeks for our instrument design. If you finish a week early, let's start on data collection a week early. So you have, instead of 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks, you've got 4.5 weeks, right? But we need to have all of your instruments, right? So as soon as you have the rest of your instruments, if you have them before next Friday, come by my office.
I think that I will complete those instruments this weekend.
Okay.
What happens if I don't have the results, but I bring the observation sheet? Is that possible?
No, that's everybody right now is bringing me their questionnaire, observation sheet, and interview guide. Almost everybody's doing those 3. And I'm checking those. I checked them last week and this week. So yes, bring them in, and bring them in whenever you want, whenever you have those, so that if there are changes, I can recommend them. And ideally, Diego, by next Friday, ideally, you'll have your results from your questionnaire, and we will have decided together on your observation sheet and interview guide, so that you can start your data collection next week, 1 week early. That's my goal. That's what I would like for you to shoot for. Now, if it doesn't happen, okay, well, you need another week, fine, right? Technically, we have 2 more weeks. But I would like to shoot for that, to see if we can get a few more days of data collection, if possible. Okay. If not, we still have enough time. Okay, there's no problem. I don't want to put additional pressure on you. Okay, if you need it, fine. Okay, we have plenty of time to do the data collection, but everything takes planning. I'm encouraging everyone to make sure, if there are schools that you think that you need written permission to do your study, that now's the time to get that permission. Now's the time to go, even though it turns out, let's say you turn out later on decide that you don't want to do your research there. Fine. It's better to have the permission and not need it than need it and not have it. You know what I mean? So, now's the time. Just ask the schools. I'm thinking about doing research. I'm just considering it. Does your school policy require a certain written permission? If so, do you have permission? Do you have a format? If not, what information do you need? All right, and whatever you need, if you need something from me, you draft it up. You write the letter, and you include everything that you need to have, with my name or whoever has to sign. And if I have to sign, I'll print it out and I'll sign it. Probably the head of the department. If you need to sign it, right? But you have to ask them, what do they need? Okay, and if they tell you nothing, well, fine. Now you know, right? Now you know. So here at the university, it's not a big deal. Okay, it's not a problem. But I'm thinking, but when you start looking at smaller kids too, it's different. Do you need permission to record a class with the schools? And maybe there's a policy where the parents don't really like that to happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
There are some schools like that. So this has happened many times, and I don't want it to happen to any of you. We're in the period of data collection. What happened? The students are waiting for someone to sign a piece of paper, and they can't start their data collection. Okay? So try your best to avoid those situations. Okay? And it's all about planning. And now's the time. You can do that now. You can just talk to school very quickly and ask, do you need it? What do you need? Okay? And if they need something signed, or if they have a format, great. Use their format. Okay? Wait around until someone signs it. Bug them. This is your thing. This is your research. So you've got to kind of do what you have to do. And if you need my help, and if I can do something, obviously I'll help. But you just got to find out what's needed. Okay. And before I thought we used to have a format, but it turns out that we don't. So I was telling some of you to go to the head of the department, but they tell me they don't have anything. So I would just ask the school. Do you have a format? If not, just ask them what they need. What should it include?
Well, the two schools that I went, they told me that they don't need any permission.
Great. Okay.
So here, I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think so. No, it's fine here. But if you know you don't need it, great.
And there is one more school that is high school, Conale. Do you know what is that, Conale?
No.
Well, it's a high school, and there are people who work on Saturday. So I plan to go there one Saturday to observe one teacher. Well, 2 Saturdays in fact. So that is the last option. So I will ask tomorrow if they need the permission.
Because are you interviewing students too or not?
No.
Okay.
Not just teachers.
But you are recording, so just make sure. Say, look, I'm recording. I may do some interviews. Is there a school policy? And just to clarify.
Yes, in fact, tomorrow I will go and ask the students also if they don't have problem to be recorded.
Yeah.
High school was like they don't like to be.
I would recommend not asking.
No.
Ask the teacher.
Okay.
Say, do you mind if I? Because in fact, in your questionnaire and when you talk to them, say, do you mind if I have some interviews with you, and do you mind if I record your class? And then they may say, well, my students, but you work it out with the teacher, because the students are going to say, no, oh my God, no, I don't want to videotape. Try to work it out with the teacher, and you just, whatever the teacher says. If the teacher says, no, my students, I don't want them, or they, whatever, let the teacher decide.
Okay.
That would be my advice. Not, if you're interviewing students, then you ask the school, may I interview your students?
Okay.
Do I have your permission, or do I need something special? Can I record your students? Part of the permission is with the schools is you're going to tell them, I'd like to interview the teachers, and I'd like to record the class or video the class, take a video. Is that okay with you? Do you need permission? And then they're going to tell you. If the school says that's fine, well, then you have the support of the administrators, right? You tienen la vista buena de ellos, como respalda. Esa es la idea. Okay. Respalda. So it's not necessary at that point then to go to the students again, because they're going to say no. So leave it up to the teacher, because first it's the school. Once you have that, then it's up to the teacher, right? Because the school may say, no, go ahead if there's no problem with the teacher, right? Then you go to the teacher, and if they give you the okay, fine. But you may have some teachers, even here at the university, they're going to say, no, I don't want you to, And then you say, okay, thank you, and go on to the next teacher.
Will I need to have I don't know how it's called. How I need to call that in English. Un tripié para la cámara. Because it's going to be difficult.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to
Recording
have
and-
something. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to. Yeah. So yeah, you.
Do I need to buy one? Maybe right.
Ask Manuel or Idiomas if they have one that they could lend out, or maybe ask let's ask around.
Or maybe
Maybe even a school. Maybe they might have some.
I think so.
Well, okay.
Okay, and is it possible to go with another person to help me or not?
Yeah, if someone that wants to videotape.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as that's fine. That's fine. In fact, the thing that you don't want though is to be too imposing, right, or too much of a distraction for the students. So it's less distracting, in my opinion, to have it on a tripod, fixed, out of the way, versus someone going. You walk around, going up to each of the students with the camera, but you would tell the person, okay, you help me out, please, but kind of stay in the back, try not to be, too obtrusive.
Don't stand up, just
Yeah.
your presence.
Maybe camouflage. No. Yeah. So that's the idea. Let's shoot for next Friday. Okay. Let's try to get if it doesn't, that's no problem.
Mm-hmm.
We still have another week, but I just want to make sure that we're still on time with everything that we need to accomplish.
So the question is answer and the observation rubric and what else?
The interview guide.
Interview guide.
The interview
There's going
guide.
to be a very simple one.
Yeah, I mean the interview guide. What I'm recommending is I would have someplace on the interview guide your research questions, so that you're constantly reminding yourself, okay, what are my focus questions here? Now, in addition to that, you're going to have certain questions that you are going to have that relate to what you observed. So whenever you ask questions in your interview, ask questions, very specific questions about what you actually saw in class, what happened in class. Not so much about questions like, what do you usually do when this happens, right? Like general questions. You really want to focus your interview questions on things that happen in class. Now, you could ask, I noticed you did this in class. Why did you do that? Okay, does that always happen? Then you could ask general questions, but it's all about what happened in your observations, because you really want to understand. You want the interview to complement what you observed, right? So that you have your observations and you have your interviews, and between those two types of data sources, you have more insight about what actually happened in class. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right. So don't ask too many questions about what they typically do, because you don't know. You've never observed their entire career. So you have to keep it all within the context of what you see. It's very limited. But you really want to understand what happened in that class to the best that you can. Now, you're going to complement that information with the questionnaire. Some of the questionnaire questions are going to be general, right? And you can ask questions based on how they responded in their questionnaire and what you observed. See what I mean? So you're bringing in those three data sources and really trying to understand to the best of your ability the answer to your research questions. So the interview guide, general questions, and try not to ask too many questions. It's not like a list of 20 questions and you go down to each question. You want it to be a semi-structured interview where it's more conversational, where you are asking very general questions to begin with, perhaps saying, how do you think class went today? Start talking. And as they start giving you information, then you ask additional questions, kind of directing the conversation to your research questions or to what you observed, or to something that they answered in their questionnaire. You're trying to make sense of it all. You have to bring those in, and your interview is the best time to do that, and make sure that you try to guide those questions into those to your answers.
Okay.
Right? So there are many different ways to do it. You can ask general questions and write them out, or you can just simply write out key ideas that you want to ask about. Okay, whatever works for you, but try to avoid having too many questions where you're kind of jumping around and you're looking around and then you get distracted and you can't listen. You really have to listen. When you do an interview, a semi-structured interview, it's more about listening than it is asking the questions. You really have to listen so that you know when and how to ask that next question.
With 5 or 6 questions.
Yeah, I'm hesitant. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not going to say how many.
Mhm.
For us to get started, maybe 3 to 5 questions, maybe just to. But there's really no rule, and it really is going to depend on after you observe. In fact, we can have a discussion after you have observed a few classes and you're ready to do your interview. You can sit down, take another look at your instrument, and discuss about how you're going to, conduct your interview. But it's very much linked to what you observed, because when you observe, you can only understand so much. I mean, you're just looking at what happens, and that's only a small piece of the puzzle. You really then have to follow up with questions to really understand what's going on and understand the phenomenon that you're observing.
Am I going to record the interview?
You have to record your interview and you have to record your classes. Okay? If you have an interview and you don't record it, it's useless. You can't use it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you
I
absolutely...
I don't have to write the interview, right? To write.
Well, you have to transcribe the interview.
But not at a moment.
No, it's impossible.
Yeah.
No, and you don't want to do that.
No.
Now, in your interview guide, you may have some blank space where you might take a few notes. Like
Okay.
if they say something, you say, okay, and they're talking, you're thinking, okay, I got to ask about that later. I'm going to ask about that. You may write down
keywords.
Something, yeah, to remind yourself, okay, in a few minutes I have to ask that. When they finish, you jot down, okay, you mentioned this, but it's just to take notes. Do not think about, you're going to transcribe the audio, so don't worry about writing down to recall everything. You have it in the recording.
Mm-hmm.
But do have a space there for you to take general notes if that helps you to think about what you can ask coming up. Now, one last thing that I recommend is in the interview guide is to create a little space here and have a list of the question words. What, how, when, where, with whom, and when. And leave space. And when you ask questions, note or make a mark next to the question word that you ask. So if you ask a what question, check, put a check mark. And they answer. Now, as they answer, they could answer what, but they could also answer how or why, depending on how much that they are expressing. So in the moment when they answer, you have to really listen and say, okay, they're explaining why. You put a check mark. And the idea here with the check marks is you're glancing, and whatever it is you're asking about, try to have different question words that you present so that you better understand that one thing that you're talking about, that one strategy, that one occurrence that you're inquiring about. Mm-hmm. And this is one way to do that, just to kind of help remind you, okay, I know the what and the how and the why about this one thing. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to go on to something else. And you do the same thing, right? It's not necessary to answer all the question words on each topic, but you want to have 2 to 3, perhaps different question words that really discuss or reveal kind of what it is that you're asking about. Okay, so this is one way of doing it, but the idea is that you have these question words in mind so that you are not just always focusing on the what, and then you finish and say, well, I don't even know how they did it. I forgot to ask, right? And you don't want to leave an interview saying, oh, I should have asked that. I forgot to ask that. That's what you want to try to avoid. It happens. And if it turns out that you need another interview, fine. Try to schedule it if we have time. But the idea is really to take advantage of that time with that interview and get as much information as possible. So this interview guide is there to help you. Whatever works for you, you write it down because you're going to have it right here next to you. And you're going to be glancing down or maybe you're writing notes as well. But it has to help you make sure you ask the right questions throughout the interview and that you don't forget to ask them. So these are just some of the suggestions. If you find something online, if you find something else that works, that's fine. But you do need to have some sort of instrument, some guide that you can include in your thesis as an instrument to explain what you use to help you with the interview. And think of it again as a semi-structured interview. Keep it as conversational and as relaxed as possible. Yeah, and try not to make the teachers feel like they're like a spotlight and you're asking questions like a criminal or something. So, or playing 20 questions. So, yeah, that's some. Try to come up with something, and we'll look at it next week. And you know, if you need to make some changes, we'll still have plenty of time to make those changes. But try to shoot for having all of the instruments finished. Hopefully, you'll have most of, if not all, of the respondents or the information from your questionnaire, so that you can choose by next week the participants for your study.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Okay, Diego. Hang in there and just let me know if you want to show me something, if we need to look at something before your tutoring session.
Okay.
And don't forget your literature review. Ask me if you have questions about what you need to change in the literature review. If we need to discuss something, that's fine too. We can discuss it face to face. But don't put off the literature review. Make sure you clean up as much as possible. Preferably now, while it's still fresh, so you don't put it off. Because the longer you put it off, the harder it is to go back and clean it up.
Okay. We'll try to take advantage of this
3 days.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, you too.
Alrighty, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.